Hello there fam, and welcome to Dad Mode Game Time, a channel where we recommend games for our young gamers to learn a skill, a life lesson, to have a role model, or this game is really good at bringing people together. It's September and that's my birth month, so I thought it would be fun to go and take a look at a video game that influenced me when I was a young gamer and helped me to develop those skills and life lessons and role models. These are going to be some of the games that inspired me to make this channel in the first place, and so hopefully this will be fun for you guys. This video is going to be about Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX. So let's go check it out. Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX is a re-release of two video games originally arrived on the PlayStation during the late 90s. Some of the systems have changed just a little bit, but I don't know that I would call it a remake, and I certainly don't think I would call it a remaster either. So I think re-release is probably the best way to describe it. These games are kind of like a pet simulator with a little bit of Pokemon thrown in. Only rather than having 6 monsters that you raise and battle, you only get one monster that you raise from its birth as a tiny baby until it grows old and eventually reaches the end of its life. You are responsible for feeding it, for constructing its schedule, whether it is training to improve its stats, resting because your monster will get tired, or whether you are battling in a tournament, or going on an errantry where your monster might learn a new skill. If your monster becomes powerful enough and famous enough, you may also have the opportunity to go on expeditions to find rare items and to make a lot of money, and to have the chance to unlock newer and rarer monsters later on down the road. There are two main ways to get monsters. The first way to get a monster is to go to town and visit the market. Your gamer can choose between 2 basic monsters that are pretty easy to train and raise, and then there will be one monster choice that will change depending on what season it is in the game. The game does not follow real life seasons, so if none of those appeal, maybe after a few months inside the game, one monster will appear that your gamer will like. When the games originally released, you could use the CDs in your house, whether those were music CDs or other game CDs, in the system. The game would read the data on those CDs and would give you a monster. Of course, in these remakes, you are not able to do that, but you can enter the artist and album data and get a monster that way. One thing about Monster Rancher 1 and 2 that I really like is that it can teach a young gamer how to take care of another living thing. Your dietary choices for your monster will influence its monster's build, from being extremely skinny to being extremely overweight. And those will have influences on its stats in the game. Those stats are unseen, but they are still there. Also, the training regimen that your gamer sets for its monster will cause it to feel tired, and the monster will need rest and care. And if your young gamer fails to provide that care to their virtual pet, then that virtual pet may get hurt or sick. It might run away, and that will cause it to shorten its lifespan because, you know, stress can shorten a person's lifespan. And it can cause that monster to have an early end, and that would be a real shame. I know that these things are just like virtual creatures, they're graphics on a screen, but if your gamer doesn't understand and pushes that little monster too far and they see the consequences on the screen, they can still learn from that rather than having to learn a real life consequence by accidentally mistreating a real life pet. And so I'm against abusing animals, even on accident. We should always try to be conscientious. So I think this virtual stand-in can be a safer place for a young gamer to learn without those really horrifying real-world consequences. So I recommend it for that reason. The game is very slow-paced, and I know it's not much to look at, but I feel like that slow pace allows a gamer to really sit down and weigh out their decisions. You can't raise all of your monster stats equally because then your monster won't be very strong. You have to choose which of the monster stats you will prioritize. And so by choosing one stat, you're giving up time to raise a different stat. And so this game can teach your gamer about opportunity cost, because everything costs time. If you send your monster out on errantry because there's a sale, there's a chance that the monster might miss an important tournament. And in this game, there are invitational tournaments that only happen at different points throughout the game year. So what do? Do you save money and teach your monster a new technique and wait for next year's tournament? Or do you do without that technique and attempt the seasonal tournament anyway and cross your fingers and hope you win? That's a choice you have to make. And once you've made your choice, there's no going back. You have to live with that decision. And it could be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Teaching your gamer to choose carefully and choose as best they can and living with the consequences, I think, is a great life lesson. You can find Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX on PC through the Steam Online Store, and you can find it on the Nintendo Switch. The game is about $30 on both platforms. Of course, if you are a person who is on the Steam Online Store, like I always am, you might find that the game is on sale, and that would be great. If you choose to try this game, let me know in the comments how you liked it, or if you didn't like it, and why. And of course, whatever you're doing, whatever you're playing, I hope you're having fun, and we'll see you next game time.